up, Soul Tribe family? Welcome back to another episode of Soul Seek Conversations, our mental health podcast by Soul Rise Essentials. I am your host, Soliél Lindsey. I'm the owner of Soul Rise Essentials. We have this community, Soul Seek Conversations. We exist to share stories of resilience, to build global community, and for you to discover new ways to thrive via the brave voices of others. Welcome. It's 2026. Happy 2026. I know y'all are going to be like, girl, what is that on your head? Things look a lot differently. I'm growing my locks back out. I have alopecia. And so I'm growing my locks back out. I think I am anyway. I'm growing my hair out to do something. And so I have to have something to cover the hair because of the alopecia. Okay, the elephant's out of the room. Now mind your business. What's up? Shout out to Adam. We have him as our guest today. Shout out to Morgan. She's been on our podcast before. We love her. Shout out to Sophia. Thank y'all so much for joining us live. Welcome back. How are you doing? 2025 was a year. I don't know what type of year it was for you, but it was eye-opening for me. I am very excited to be blessed to see another day just in general, but also to be here still doing the work that I love, to be here doing this podcast, to be here with you, to still be shining a bright light on mental health and wellness, and to create community. Y'all are the absolute best. Shout out to the Soul Tribe family. Yes, go get your mental health merchandise from Soul Rise Essentials at Soul. That's S-O-L, spelled just like you see here on this coffee mug. If you are watching live, I already got my little lipstick on there. I'm so sorry. But that's S-O-L, riseessentials.com. We offer mental health merchandise for the entire family, what we call resilient humans on the grow. And so we've got t-shirts, we have hats, we have hoodies, we have little pins to put on your book bags and your jean jackets and things on the go. We have stickers. We have all kind of things, child. Just go look. We design our mental health merchandise very intentionally with bright colored designs and materials because we believe in the power of color therapy. We know that color can pick up your mood. And so a lot of our things are very bright. You may be like, why? But that is with a lot of intention. Right here behind me, you can kind of see a glimpse of our mental wellness manifesto. It's the new year. You should have one of these. This manifesto will be good for you for 2026 because it is an outward physical declaration where you make to yourself to always honor your mental health. And so I'll read an excerpt from this. It says, I will contribute positively to the world by doing my inner work. As I evolve, heal, and grow, I will meet each version of myself with kindness and compassion. A lot of good stuff there, but what you want to do is put the day of the month, and then you put the month, and then you put the year, and then your name at the top, and at the very bottom, you sign it. So it's you making a commitment, a declaration to yourself to always mind your mind. It goes well in your office. It goes well in your your bedroom, even in your bathroom. You could do it at work. There are so many different things. We even have businesses that are local to my area and beyond that have it up in their like little lobby areas as well. So Morgan says 2026 was a great year. 2025 was a great year. She's looking forward to 2026 and what it has to offer. Listen, I know that God is about to do some amazing things with you. He's already doing it. Thank you for being part of our community, for lending us your voice and your time in 2025 on our podcast. One of my favorite podcasts to date. I'm just going to say, I love every single guest that sits in this soul seat and bears their life and their story with us. But Morgan, we just had a really great podcast episode. I'm excited for y'all to meet Adam today and hear his story. I have a couple more announcements that I want to make, and then we're going to bring him right on to the room. I always issue a trigger warning because we do discuss very sensitive topics. It's a mental health podcast, and so it can get very personal. We are not treating or diagnosing. We do not offer any mental health or medical or any type of advice. We are just humans sharing our lived experience, thrivers sharing their lived experience. Now, because it's a mental health podcast, we do have mental health professionals, social workers, etc. come on the podcast, but in this seat, they are simply humans sharing their lived experiences, but no medical or professional advice is being given. You can find this episode and all others on YouTube. Just type in Soul, S-O-L, Seat Conversations, or you can type in Soul Rise Essentials. You'll see our YouTube page set up. One goal of mine very, very soon this year, y'all hold me to it. We will be on all streaming platforms before this year is out, okay? If you have a personal mental health or mental wellness story to share, a resilience story to share, you can email us at mystory@ at Soul Rise Essentials. Okay, if you're watching a replay, down in the comments, put hashtag replay. Let us know that you are here. If you have any insights, questions, or praise or comments to share, we would love to hear it. This is an interactive podcast. Don't be quiet, honey. We love to talk around here. Okay, y'all saw that? That's what the kids be doing. I facilitate a group of high school girls with Girls for a Change. Shout out to Girls for a Change. As soon as they saw me, they said, okay. They hit that, and then they said, y'all know I'm silly. Anyway, Adam, I hope you're ready. Let's bring you on in the room. Shout out to my auntie Josita. She just had a birthday January 1st into the new year. Love you, Auntie Pooh. All right, come on in the room, Adam. Happy New Year, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing good. Happy New Year.
It's nice to have you here.
Yeah, happy to be here.
What you laughing at? You laughing about the wig?
I was laughing at all that. I was laughing at all the things. But no, well, it looks good on you though. It looks good on you.
Okay, they say you lie if you do like this when you say something. You was lying.
Oh, that was my mustache. I'm hot.
I'm joking with you. Welcome to Soul Seed Conversations, Adam. Thank you so much for being here today. I know who you are, but I would love for you to introduce yourself to everyone listening in the Soul Tribe family. Tell them who you are and what you do.
All right. Well, my name is Adam. Last name Evans. Let's see. Who am I? I am a forever educator, small business owner, Richmond resident, and just happy to be here.
Yes. Super happy for you to be here as well. So, with Soul Seed Conversations, you know it's a mental health podcast. And so I have a couple different segments that I incorporate into the podcast. The first one is going to be a little deep. I'm going to throw you off guard, but I know you can handle it.
Okay.
How is your mental health right now in this moment on a scale from 1 to 5? 1 being like low, down in the dumps, 5 being like everything it could be. Where are you at on the scale today?
I mean, since we're recording, I'll be completely honest.
Yeah.
Um, New Year's is always a tricky place to be. Holidays always bring up a lot of past memories, both good and challenging. Um, Coming into the new year, I think I was describing it kind of like riding a bike. When you get that bike, you have the gears on it, you try to start, you push the pedal, but it hits your shin.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, that's the worst. That's the
yeah,
worst
you
feeling.
try to get it in gear until it gets there. So like right now, I'm just trying to get a good rhythm going into it, but I know where I'm trying to go. I think
Yeah.
that's the positive thing. So,
Absolutely. And I like the transparency. You know me, authentic. So we just gonna share. We're gonna brave it all. Our emotions, our stories, good, bad, ugly, and indifferent, are here to serve not only ourselves but others. So feel free
right,
to just say whatever it is you gotta say. We hold space for all of it over here.
there it is. Okay.
So I want to tell people how I know you. Shout out to Mighty Joshua. Thank you for joining. We love you guys. I wanted to tell people how we met and why we are here today. So if you didn't see the flyer, Adam is a single father. He's also a widower. We hear a lot about widows. Like women, we put our stories out there. We share them. People know what's going on with us. We have been changing the trajectory of that with men on our podcast because we have quite a few men on our podcast and they share their stories. We hear what you all are thinking, what you're going through, how it's affecting you. And so today we want to shed light on widowers and like what that looks like to be a male that has lost their partner in life. That is hard for anybody, but I don't know if I've ever heard a widower share their story. So I'm excited to share that. I know it's a painful thing that you had to go through, but I want to talk about that process and also how we met because TQ, your wife and your late wife, lovely wife, she was a bright light and I actually met her first, which is how you and I became connected. And then of course now
Yes.
we have a lot of mutual friends and colleagues. And so I want to talk about how we met. So TQ, what was TQ's first name? How do you say it? Tonquise?
You hit it out, home run, first pitch. Yeah.
Yes.
Tonquise. Yeah.
Tonquise. You were married to a beautiful bright light. And it's funny because I always talk about dynamic women and the people who love us. I'm gonna just go on and say us. We can be a lot, we're front facing. A lot of people know us, love us, glean from us, etc. And so I think it takes a special partner to be with people like that. But dynamic women need love too. They be saying we be a little too much sometimes.
Facts.
But she
Facts.
she was a person that when you met her, I don't know, I gleaned from her. I just was very inspired by her spirit and not even knowing what she was going through. We'll talk about what happened in her passing, but that made her shine even brighter to me, because going through what she was going through, you didn't even know unless you knew.
Right.
So yeah, that's how you and I met, through your late
Right.
wife.
That's
So
right.
let's talk a little bit about that. How long were y'all married for?
A little bit over 10 years.
Oh wow, that's we gonna talk about marriage too, because that's a whole thing. Like, as well, people have a lot to say about marriage, but getting to that 10-year mark, that's like a really big milestone. So
Yeah.
congratulations to you on that. I'm sure you have a
Yeah.
lot of advice you could share for us unmarried people, you know?
Okay. Well, you asked how we met. So she led the business. It was called Prendy. So it was a high waist legging that was for women experiencing some challenges post pregnancy, and that was a thing that she had went through. And when she was looking for some solutions to, trying to get her body together, we was really struggling to find that type of resource. So, being the type of woman that she was, she started looking for things and try to create something. And she created what we end up calling the Prendy pants, and that's how we met. Is we're doing working on marketing, doing a photo shoot for the release of that pant, and it was very exciting. It was very great, and it was. Um, but I think right when we started launching is when we kind of found out that
Mm.
the health had taken a turn, which was very interesting in itself.
Yeah. So when I met TQ, like you said, we were doing a marketing campaign and photo shoot for Prendy Pants. Do you remember that photo shoot, like around that time frame? Did you guys already know she was sick then, or
No,
was it after the
mm-mm.
photo?
That was after the photo.
Oh,
It was
oh,
after the photo
wow.
shoot. Yeah, we were going into. I'm trying to think what it was. I know it was that. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the exact time.
Yeah.
I remember all the things, but the dates. I mean, but yeah, she was. We were very healthy people. She probably healthier than me. We clean living, clean eating, we were vegan. I think we played between vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian for a while, and she started getting some bloating in her stomach. Yeah, it was there for a little bit, but it's kind of sometimes it's tough to be a woman as you age, and bodies, hormones, things change. And she was also very concerned with her body overall. So going to the doctor was not uncommon. So when she would go to
Hmm.
the doctor and express some of the things that she had going on, like I'm feeling, this thing is going on. I got this little lower tummy, which is kind of why she wanted to do the Prendy pants, was to really reduce the size of the uterus to bring it in post childbirth, because that contraction is so important. But in going through that, they would say, "Oh, because you're, vegetarian, vegan, you eat a lot of beans, and that's probably what's doing the thing." And that was, I mean, that's probably a good 2 years that we kind of heard that, until
Wow.
one day she found it kind of challenging to, um, trying to think of a classy way of saying, to, you know,
Release.
release. And I had went to the store and got a Supermax like laxative, thinking this is going to be there's nothing stronger than this.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it was kind of like putting a bomb inside of a
Wow.
safe, because of what was going on in her body. And I took her to emergency room, and it was there we found out that it was her colon was fully obstructed, and we were at stage 4 the first time we learned anything about it. And we're talking immediate surgery and everything. So it's like,
Wow.
okay,
Right. Because what do you
hey,
do with that information?
right? What am I don't understand. So
Yeah.
what happened to number
Wow.
1, 2, and 3? So that changed everything. But then again, at the same time, because of the person she was, it also was kind of a weird way to see things, because she was so damn positive.
Hmm.
And again, like you said, if you knew her, and you didn't know the story, she wouldn't have let you know, just based on her energy and just the way she really saw and carried out her life.
Yeah. And even I remember following her when she, shared the diagnosis, and she kept getting, and we'll talk more about this, but like, you have this amount of time to live and this amount of time to live and all of that. That was stressful within itself, just reading it. So I can only imagine, going through it. But I do remember she shared like different healing modalities that she was trying out, just to like, help with the wellness aspect of things. Cause y'all being natural, maybe, um, chemo, because I don't think we said this yet, but had cancer. What type of cancer was it?
Colon.
Colon cancer. So
Mhm.
just trying to address that type of cancer, or just cancer in general, holistically. So she was sharing that stuff. She was staying positive, good energy, And from what we can see anyway, because I'm sure people have bad days, but just trying to do everything that she could think of spiritually and like through the medical system. So I remember following that journey and seeing that, because like you said, that's the kind of people you guys are, just healthy and into wellness and things like that. So that's a lot, just even hearing that, because I don't think I was privy to some of those things. And I want to like shed light on something that's really important here. You all were going to the doctor and talking to them. What can you say to people listening that they are conscious of their body? They know when something's wrong. They know, like, okay, I really need to go and get this checked out. How do you think, from your perspective, people can advocate when you're like, nah, I think you should look into this a little bit more when you're talking to people in the medical care system?
I think it's a very big conversation. What she would say was that if you feel something, go to the emergency room and have them check everything out. Because if you go to individual doctors, sometimes they won't do all the testing. Like, oh, we have to send you off to this. We'll get you in 3 months later. We don't have this doctor here, this test here. At an emergency room, at least you can get everything done. But that wouldn't come. We wouldn't know that until, again, we go there to the emergency room, doctors and doctors and doctors. But it wasn't until we went to the emergency room that all the tests happen, and they're looking now for what's wrong, as opposed to just going off of your words. Um, but your question was exactly. I don't want to go veer too far off. What was your exact question?
What can you say to people? I think you kind of addressed it, but what would you say personally from your vantage point if somebody knows their body? Because, like me, I know my body. I'm pretty aware of my body. I know I'm like, because I remember there was a diagnosis that I received from my body in the same area, actually. I didn't receive that diagnosis until like 5 years later. There was 5 years of me going to the hospital complaining about the same thing. I was told, take an ibuprofen. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. And I'm like, I know something's not right. So thank goodness for me, it didn't turn out the way it did for her, which I hate. But like, I'm like, I know my
Mhm.
body. So I'm sure she was saying the same thing. I know
Right.
my body. So how do you think people can advocate for themselves while they're there? Like, hey, I'm not leaving here until blah, blah, blah. What would you say?
Mm, that's this is it's tricky because to know your body means to know who you are, right? And if you're a person who is not living a healthy lifestyle, then sometimes the concerns could be a little bit more valid. I think I'm a slim individual, never say skinny, but I'm a slim dude.
I
And
used to be able to
sometimes
relate
people,
to that at one point in my life.
like, sometimes people can just believe based on how you look that, you don't
Yeah.
need to check things out, or
Yeah.
it's always been this way. My
Yeah.
grandma smoked for, 90 years, and so that's good. But, things are different. I think there's a point where when it stays in your mind and it becomes the first and last thing you think about in your day, or it stops you in your tracks, that- like anything else. I mean, if you procrastinate, it's going to be a disadvantage to yourself.
Yeah.
So even if it's work, if it's a project, if it's buying your kids a gift, if it's paying the bills, whatever it is, if it wait too long, there will be a consequence of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So being honest with yourself, and that's one of those laying in the bed and just really doing an evaluation, like you laying with your eyes closed. Do you feel your toes? Do
Mm-hmm.
you feel do you feel your ankles, your shins, all the things?
Yeah.
And and going through, and you get to a part where it feels a little different. Then, one, go get checked out. From us experiencing a lot of those things, I have all type of equipment. I have, oxygen meters, blood pressure things, and wellness is very important. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, I think just really taking advantage of it and just knowing where your line is.
Yeah.
It just really has to be. It's really up to you to determine how uncomfortable you are. I know I have family members right now who have a lot of ailments and are nervous because they don't want to go through the surgery. However, before the surgery, it goes, can we take care of ourselves better?
Right. I was just about to go into that. So with 2026, you got people that have all these different goals. I want to eat better. I want to work out. I want to move my body. What can you say to people? Because again, this is mental health related. I know the connection between the gut and the brain. So we would be remiss if we didn't talk about, the way we eat and how that affects our health. So just
Right.
lightly, if you want to talk about that, like how do you think food affects your mood, and what can you say to people to kind of? Well, I'll say this before we go there.
Okay.
For me, when I changed my eating habits, I noticed a difference in like brain fog and brain function and cognitive function So food does affect your mood. That's number one. But also, I told myself when I'm eating something, is this fueling disease or is it fighting disease? That really helped, shape my brain. Now I'm actually vegan right now for this month. Just doing something different for January, but I'm not a vegan like just in general. However, when I adopted that mindset, literally when I'm putting something in my mouth, it changed the way I looked at food forever. So there are certain things that I grew up eating that I just can't now because of that thing that I've adopted. What can you say to people like that have that goal that are like teetering, I can't stop eating this or I have a issue with sugar. What can you say to them? Because we do have things going on with our bodies and people don't want to address the way that they're treating their bodies via food. What do you say to those people?
Well, I am not a trained nor certified nutritionist. So I know sometimes I have a very different approach than many people with that. I believe if at all possible, you take control of the car. So I have a little app. It's called like Bobby Approved. I got put on it by one of my friends. And I use that and I scan little things when I go to the grocery store. I scan the barcodes. I scan my deodorant. I scan certain things because what you put in your body, becomes a part of you. Processed foods are heavy everywhere. I mean, right now, we're talking about fake meat and all type of things going on. And what's the impact of, we're past sugar. We're past, that was a thing at one point in time. It's like, don't eat too much sugar, which is very big. Sugars and breads. If we can kind of like, pull those back a little bit, I think that's really important. So for me, I cook. I like to cook. And I take control over what I cook, like the ingredients that I'm able to put in my food, as opposed to buying a 48 boxes of instant pancakes, which is fine, to each their own. But for one, for me, it doesn't taste the same. Two, it allows me to make more, and I'm a little frugal sometimes too. So that allows me to kind of just again take control over certain pieces there, um, and just try to eat more clean. If I can do a farmer's market, which is a little bit tough.
Yeah.
If I can do, I feel uncomfortable going to some stores and buying vegetables. I have an apple that was sitting in the corner. The thing has, I think, is since October. Thing is still green. I'm like, this is not good. But I guess if I was hungry, I probably would eat it. So again, to each their own. So for me, I
Yeah.
think it's just important just to take control over what it is that I eat and be open to eating other things. I think sometimes like it's not, I will eat a hamburger. I won't eat one every day. I think that's the
Hmm.
advantage of kind of playing the game of trying, veganism or being a vegetarian or pescatarian. It's like you can, it's not what you eat sometimes. It's like the quality of, well,
For
maybe it is
sure.
what you eat. It's the quality of your foods, not necessarily
Yeah, the
the
quality
things that.
too. And it's so funny. I have this trilogy blend of seeds in my kitchen that I swear I think about TQ every time I use it because when I was at the house one day she was making a salad and she had that trilogy blend with the seeds. And it's just funny. Every time I see it and use it, I think about her. For the people thinking, 'cause I know there's one or two people out there thinking this, well, you know, she or anybody else got cancer, and it was fatal, but they were doing XYZ. There are people who think like that, right? And it's a valid thought. I get it. But I want us to talk a little bit about how we just say, food affects your mood. So while you're still here, if you got the brain fog and you're not as limber as you used to be because you're not stretching or whatever, like while you're here, you have to ask yourself, what quality of life do you want? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Because we all have an expiration date. We all leaving up out of here at some point. We don't know how or when. So for the people who say, well, I don't want to be vegan because this person, was vegan and they were out being, working out and they're not here with us. What do you say to that?
I think that's fair. I thought that. I have a piece of it myself, which is why I'm not vegan right now.
Mm,
I'm an omnivore who likes to eat, who is selective when I can. I mean,
yeah.
I slide off but ideally, it's important. Um, so that's a big question,
That was honest of what you just said. It is valid.
man. But you're like you eat well. So if this person right here is doing all the right things, and they still fall into the circumstance, what makes me different? That was something that I struggled with. And I was like, what? Now, everything was done right, to my knowledge. You know, I did it this way, I did it that way, we did it this way, we did it that way, she did it this way, she did it that way, and this is where we were. And at that point, I kind of took my hand off the gas a little bit. Um, Now, and I think I focus more on the wellness part, and that's like I don't typically don't eat breakfast. You know, I don't really do a whole bunch of biscuits and those things in the morning. Like I would probably before would have been sausage, eggs, and those things, and smothered,
Yeah.
sausage and gravy or whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
But just reading more and learning how to again benefits of fasting. And I
Yep.
hate to even call it
Yep.
fasting. I don't have a better name for it, but
Yep.
right now, but just we're over consumers.
Yes.
We have so many things that push on us, and I mean, it really it's unfortunate when it tastes good. It's like, man, these Doritos taste Cool Ranch Doritos are absolutely delicious, but they
Yeah.
don't grow from trees. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, tell
Yeah.
the kids, like, there was somebody who was paid a lot of money to create this thing to make it taste good for us. Like anything that you can become addicted to is just recognizing that we have addictions and
Yeah.
recognizing that everything that tastes good is not good for you.
Yeah.
Right. And I think people
Yeah.
get thrown off by the vegan cheese. And if there was a way to make something like the cheese be different, they probably bring a lot of people in. Like,
Child, okay, because vegan cheese is not good. I'm gonna just tell the people there are some that they finally got it right, but it's nothing gonna be like regular cheese, period.
exactly.
Look, here's the thing. This is what I told myself. I remember the way that I used to behave when I was in school after I would eat lunch. Now that I'm thinking as an adult and I look back, I'm like, yo, I was wilding the hell out. It was the food. It was the fruit. It was the fruit roll up things. And we would put them on our thumb and like eat it. Like it was all the dyes and all the sugar and all the processed foods. And I think about now how I feel after a meal, and the difference is the food. And like I said, the way I feel. So there are direct links. If you just try, it's like you don't have to be vegan or vegetarian or whatever. You just eat more mindfully and
Right.
pay attention to how you feel afterwards. To me, that's what you go off of. You don't have to claim a title or anything like that because, yes, we all have to go up out of here. But I'm not trying to have high blood pressure, diabetes, brain fog, and all this stuff in the process if I'm still
That's
going to
right.
be here.
I don't want to
And
lose a foot nor gain dementia because of things that I eat. I mean,
there's
that's
also environmental factors too that we're not really in control of. I have a friend whose mom passed from lung cancer, and she was, I just don't understand it. She didn't smoke, da 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 da, but they found out it was the building she worked in for 30 years.
mm,
There was like asbestos or something. So there are things that we can't control, right? But I want to be able to control how I feel mentally, and if I'm not eating junk food all day. Now every once in a while, 'cause I don't believe in being rigid, because like I want to travel the world and eat how these people are eating in that part of the country. I want to try it at least once. I'm not gonna be rigid in that way, but just some discipline is really good. So I just want to spend a little time talking about like food a
fried
little bit.
foods. Like, I'll fry some things occasionally. I love fried fish, but soaking our food. I mean, that's not seed oils and those pieces. It's vegetable canolas but we were raised that was part of like we don't do vegetable anymore. Now we do canola. Like, oh,
Right,
now I'm eating healthy. All right, get that peanut oil.
baby.
Let's go ahead. Let's go do it.
Listen, I love me a piece of fried fish, period. Because I'm like you, I don't do a whole bunch of fried foods either, but you ain't gonna take my fried fish away from me for the rest of my life. No, sir. No, you're not.
That's gonna be a thing. That's gonna be a thing. But that's I eat food that I know I shouldn't eat. Like pizza. That killed my stomach. But
It's good.
man, yes. I mean, but so I get it. That's why I don't. If that's all you are, if all you are is, if anything that you do in, what's the word I like to use, in being fair, mm, in access in excess, you would it's bad. It's an addiction.
Excess.
So
Hmm.
whatever your thing is, whether
Yeah.
it's drugs, smoking, drinking soda every day, that is something I sometimes I get on my people about. Is like, you're gonna drink a Diet Coke. We still do that. Like I just it's just the thing. I like the way that, like, okay, like
Yeah,
y'all see
yeah,
y'all, like, again, I will drink some of these things, like my mom, she'll try to like put a cherry Pepsi to the side, knowing that I like don't do that. And then she's like, I
yeah,
got you something on the side when you might,
yeah.
like it's a
I
pack
think
of
we
cigarettes or something.
right. We've made a good link between food and mood, right? And just food and wellness. So I forgot to do something in the beginning, which is a mindful moment. Are you familiar with mindful breathing?
Yes.
So we do that here, and because we're about to dive more deeper into your story, so I think this is a good segue to pause and do that because I definitely was supposed to do this earlier. So what I do is box breathing. There are a couple of different names for it, but I'm going to show you what we do here on the show. It's super quick. I do it all the time. I tell people it's very accessible. You don't have to pay for it. Anybody, if you have breath in your body, can do this at any given moment, and it just helps to reset your nervous system. So and create an immediate relaxation response. So with box breathing here on this show, we do 4 counts, right? And we're going to breathe in. We're going to inhale for 4 seconds. We're going to hold it for 4 seconds. Release for 4 seconds. And then wait for 4 seconds and start it all over again. So the goal is like 4 here, 4 here, 4 here, 4 here. That's why they call it box breathing. Does that make sense?
Sure. Can I turn my camera off so I don't mess up?
Man, if you don't leave that camera on. So we're going to be doing it together and everybody else watching. People
Okay,
join in with us
teamwork.
as well.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
Teach me how
yes,
to
yes.
breathe. Let's do it.
Yes, so just get really relaxed and make sure your feet are on the floor, hands are on your wherever they are comfortable. You can do them to the side. I like to put them on my lap.
Okay.
Then you'll close your eyes and just relax. And I'm going to count us off. We'll do 4 seconds inhaling. All right, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Release out of your mouth. 2, 3, 4, and then 4 seconds. We're gonna wait. 2, 3, 4. Inhale for 4 and hold. Release. Inhale for 4.
Are we back at it? Okay.
Yep. Hold it. Release. Inhale for 4 and hold. Release and wait for 4 seconds. Last one. Inhale for 4 and hold. Release. And that's it.
All right.
I feel great. How do you feel?
I feel awesome.
Good. Very good. So let's get into the story. You said you are an educator. What made you, as a Black man, because you don't see a lot of Black men in education all the time, what made you want to go into education?
Mm. I have a lot of family who was in education, so I'll start there. So some of the jobs I learned about when I was younger, especially looking for, well, when conversations come when your parents talk to you when you're younger, and well, this you need a job that gives you benefits, these things, and and also uh, being able to, I guess one of my skill sets is the ability to work with people and reach and have communications with youth and families. So I found over time that was kind of a strength of mine. And
Mm,
that's kind of what led me that way. And it was also a need. A lot of times people go into careers, especially like public service, like to be teachers, you either become a teacher because you hated your teacher, you hated your educational experience, um, or you loved it and you want to continue to give back. I was kind of on the middle. I felt that I had some good teachers, but not the majority of them. And
mhm,
I felt that if I had someone, it's almost like somebody made you some food and you feel like it wasn't great, and like you just missed a little, if you just put a little bit of this in there, it'd probably be a whole lot better and people would have liked this thing. And that's kind of what I felt about myself in education. I felt that I would be able to bring to that profession would be something that would be helpful
Yeah.
to not only students, other colleagues and communities and parents, but honestly to myself, because it was
Hmm.
just kind of, it was meaningful and it helped kind of provide a purpose.
Yeah. Were you in higher education, grade school? Who did you work with?
Um, I've worked K through high school
Hmm.
with partnerships um, at the university level as well,
Nice.
but not
Okay.
directly teaching.
Yeah. What was your subject of choice?
My subject choice, well, My certification is in history, but what I did primarily was I ran a program called AVID, which stood for Advancement via Individual Determination. So it was a program that helped provide resources, services, and mentoring to those students and families in that academic middle to
Mm-hmm.
help them be successful. So the
Mm.
goal was to provide this middle cohort of students skills, again, mentoring strategies to help them be successful. I mean, because you have those who are on the lower end that receive 504 IEPs and other type of services, and those on the upper side who get gifted and some other resources to provide for them there. But it was
Yeah.
the big bulk and that big bell curve of those in that middle.
Mm.
So finding kids and working with kids and families, especially those underserved and first generation, was very important. And I
Yeah.
found
Yeah.
a lot of benefit in that. So my
Yeah.
subjective choice is those that can help people find themselves, help them figure out their why, and just
Mm-hmm.
really get them moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I think back to my time in grade school, and while there were not many, I think about people like Mr. Gooding, that he saw, because I was a troubled kid, he saw beyond, what other people would just get stuck on. She's
Mhm.
acting up, she's did it up, but I was very bright, I was very smart. So I look back at him as kind of like a fatherly figure in the school. Girl, if you don't get yourself together, and also just spending time and nurturing and bonding with me, I look back at male educators and him specifically. There's a couple others that are important and they're very needed. There's a lot of motherly type figures in the school system, but people like Mr. Gooding and people like yourself working with the children that you were working with, I'm sure were very. It was an impactful relationship on both sides. So kudos
I,
to you.
I think so,
Yeah,
and I definitely recognize that need. So I didn't take that lightly, and also being able to work in that industry was trying to get other people who are also male and of similar complexion to also be a part of that community, so we can kind of provide more assistance and so we can balance it out a little bit more because not everybody has all things at home.
for sure. Yeah. What do you think about this is a loaded question, but education has changed a lot because the world has changed a lot. So approach to education has changed and has to change and needs to continue to change to meet the needs of our children. But on the flip side of that, the needs things have to change because of the needs of educators too. We grown up in a different generation now. And so mental health and educators, what can you speak to about that?
Mental health and educators.
While you think, I'm going to share a quick story. There was a woman who does hypnosis, a Black sister. She came across my profile about 2 days ago, and she did a workshop with educators where she put them under hypnosis for relaxation. And I always was fascinated with hypnosis, a little scared of it actually. But she sat down in a chair in front of the educator and she said, "Shake my hand." And the lady shook her hand and she like did like this and made the woman fall out. And she was just in a relaxation space, I guess. I don't know how to say that. And I was like, this is phenomenal. But you could see all the other teachers looking like, this shit is weird, but it looked like it worked. But it was supposed to be like a relaxing retreat for them.
Hmm.
And we don't know a lot about hypnosis. And so I followed the lady and I want to educate myself because I'm like, this is the work that needs to be done for teachers. Maybe not that modality for everyone, but just to see something like that as a workshop and retreat for educators. I said, whatever school system is they getting it right. Whatever, like I said, it doesn't have to be that exact modality, but taking care of teachers is very, very important because y'all experience burnout a lot. On the flip side of that, I know I'm saying a lot, I'm gonna end it real soon. I heard someone that I know very dear tell teachers like burnout is not real. And I think I know where they were trying to go with it. Like they were trying to flip their perspective, but nah, burnout is real. Our teachers are burnt the hell out. And if you look at the absenteeism in our schools, as far as teachers go, where you have long term substitute teachers, that is a problem. And so there's a root to that problem. What do you have to say to that?
I think that the plate that teachers sit with these days are a lot more complex than they used to be. One, they have to come in with a lot of education And especially if you're on like the elementary side, that's a very intensive certification to receive. And then the payout isn't typically equal to what is required of you. It was funny though, we're willing to pay a whole lot of money for preschool, but when that same type of, when that's sometimes when teachers about what's your worth,
Yeah.
that's a big challenge. A lot of teachers work more than one job, trying to get to the magic number for themselves to live the type of life that they would like to have. Um, every year there's a new thing that you're supposed to learn. Like math has been mathing. Math has been math since they did math. I know the abacus was a thing for a minute. We had calculus, but it's like, why is every year we had to change the way we do multiplication? Like it was working, like when I was a kid. What was wrong with cross multiply divide? I mean, I understand what the issue is, but there's always something else, and there's always a way to try to make, I feel, educators come across as being more professional and received by society, but that doesn't come. So like now, you typically that happens because of people see the prestige and how much we get paid. Like, oh, if someone says, "How much do you make?" and you're like, "Oh, I make $50,000." They're like, "Oh, you must not. They must not take you very serious." And that's a struggle for some folks. But burnout is real because this is a lot to do. The kids are different, like completely. Like that is a real thing. Burnout can be real because parents have less expectations of their kids. We have more ways that students see each other. We have more ways that they communicate with each other, whether it's, like back in the day, it was if you come to school, you got a note written, pass it to your friend. I get back to you later, I'm gonna work on my handwriting. I'm gonna write 3 notes to make sure you understand what I'm trying to do. Now, sometimes asking kids to write this is a struggle, and teachers' livelihoods are based on student performance a lot of times or classroom
Hmm.
behavior. So if your job, the success of your job is predicated on the students coming in being ready, prepared, and behaved, and the kids come in minus all those things, and you're
You're at a
expected
deficit.
to, yeah,
Yeah.
you're expected to hold like in the elementary side, up till fifth grade here, Richmond, the kids are going to be, in elementary school. And at middle school, you're all day with these kids, you know, and so I digress. Burnout's real. It's tough to fix that, and it will require a real shift, and I think a society to get us there more so than leadership at a
Sure.
school or division level.
What were you doing as an educator when you experienced burnout, or just the weight from the social issues also happening behind the scenes with your students? I'm sure that weighed on you as well.
Burnout, um, and the roles that I have to say that I've been blessed that I hadn't had. My burnout, I think, looks different than some other people. So I juggled a lot. Um, Burnout is more fatigue and frustration, right? So, but what is it that creates the burnout? And I think for me as an administrator is really having your hands tied or trying to, you're it's not the students as much as the parents, and then it's other things going on. Like I was burnt out because the kids won't stop vaping in the bathroom, and then there's consequences for vaping. But we all know that. So hey, Soleil, found your nephew vaping in the bathroom. Well, actually, I don't know he was vaping, but it smelled like Lucky Charms when I went in there. He was the only person in the bathroom, and I saw smoke. And then the parent comes back and say, "That's not my kid. That wouldn't do that." But no, I saw your kid. I don't understand what the issue is, So,
Mhm.
and now we may bring a lawyer in because they don't want their kid to be in trouble. It's like, I don't want your kid to be in trouble. However, at the same time, without consequences, sometimes though, again, there's a cycle that can happen that's there. So again, I think it's just really trying to balance what the expectations that kids have or parents have with their kids with the expectation that I have for their kid. And
Yeah.
those don't always line up well. Like, oh yeah, I can do this at home, but you can't do that at school.
Yeah.
And going through that enough and knowing that you really may not be able to execute whatever it is you're trying to do, whether it's a program or consequences, and that gets, you can't do it. Those things can be frustrating. Just like a teacher, hey, this kid has been late every day, 15 times. After number 12, he's supposed to get suspended. I'm making up numbers, by the way. And then
Mhm.
they go to the office, and then the kid comes back to class. like, why are you back here? You're supposed to be suspended. And they're like, well, so and so, Mr. Evans told me to go back to class because we don't have anybody in school suspension. And so now the
Mm-hmm.
teacher feels like they weren't supported.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're
Mm-hmm.
frustrated because they've been yelling at all the kids, wait till he watch what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Now what you say, your power's been snatched from you. So you have a lot of
exactly.
people just sitting on their hands waiting or
Yep.
watching, hoping that somebody come and save the day.
I think about my time in school and what things were. You had some oddballs and some bad apples at times, like me misbehaving. It wasn't across the board. Of course, you had like some school districts or school systems, or this high school, this middle school. Like, the kids a little rough because of what area they come from. But overall, there was a little bit more structure than there is now. But like you just explained, there's so many different variables that have people's hands tied, because society has changed, parenting has changed, children have changed, and so I hope in my lifetime I get to see, a shift in education, but humans are evolving, and so we just got to wait and see what happens. However, I see now the issues that, because I go into schools and do workshops and things through my business and work with children and share my story. So I am seeing some differences where there is a little less structure, and I think this conversation and others I've had and have overheard are helping me see the connection to why, because people's hands are tied. Like, for instance, the dress code. I'm like, I couldn't wear this when I was in school, but it's like, if parents are buying it for their children, what are you going to do? And it's like 500 kids doing it. So I can't suspend all 500 of them. So things have just changed so much. So all I'm gonna say is that you had is kudos to the teachers. Go ahead.
I was going to say, because you brought it up before, you were talking about the fruit roll up and those pieces. You know, like you go to the school, you look what they eat for breakfast.
That's what
It's
I'm
like
saying.
it's
They're
like
not gonna behave
what they
well.
yeah you're giving sugar drinks. You're giving some type of pastry in the morning. You're giving pop tarts up some processed sugar and
No nutrition.
yes,
Zero.
right, it's right. Everything GMO, all the flavors, all the colors, all the things,
All the
and then
things.
you expect them to perform at their top level. And what's funny is the kids whose parents are a little more let's just say healthy, and so they're packing their natural lunch. They're giving the vegan meals because there's always a couple of those kids, and those are the ones that get teased. It's like, oh, you brought in the carrots with the was it with the hummus or
Hummus.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, that's not so cool. But
Right.
however, it's just so out of line.
Yeah,
So
man. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
real.
yeah. Yeah. Good conversation. Thank you for sharing that. I want to switch over to, okay, how does an educator meet? What was TQ's profession before she started Printy Pants?
Well, she was always in human resources.
Oh, him. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. She was in HR. Okay. How does that come into play? How do y'all meet each other?
How did we meet? We met through a mutual friend. I went to high school with one of her friends, and she went up going to college with that same friend. I had got out of I think I was broken up with or something like on a Valentine's Day, and
Mm,
I'm like, I'm done. And
mm,
then
mm,
like when it's like,
mm.
no, no, I think I have somebody you should meet. I'm like, all right, and we had a lot of like so just based on similar things that we like, from acting to humor, family, past and present. We just really connected,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was an awesome connection.
Are you gonna do that? Did I tell you about the comedy improv class that I did?
I did, I did. I went to one of them. I didn't go back though.
Why?
My budget wasn't ready for that.
Oh, but okay, I'm gonna tell you something offline. They have
Okay,
what's it called? A
scholarship.
scholarship. I'm gonna put you on to that. I'm gonna put you on
Well,
to that.
okay. They
That's
told me I
exciting.
should have been professional, so getting a scholarship wouldn't be
I
bad.
got you. I
But
got
I
you.
had
I
a
got
good time though. I did have a
you.
good time.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. I'm glad you went. Yeah. So okay. So y'all meet each other doing that. Married for 10 years. You were your dad.
I am a dad.
Yeah. So how many children did y'all have?
Well,
Do y'all have?
altogether there's four. Um, Um, I have a stepson, Jabari, so he is 22. Um, Together we have Blaze, so he's 13. I have Ace, he's about to turn 11 next week, and we have Rain, who's last there at number 8 at 8. Um, yeah, so that's so with me are those last three.
And I know that you all adopted Rain, right?
Well,
Yeah.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
her legal guardian. Yes.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that. Her telling me that process. I think it's so interesting because, y'all have this blended, beautiful family, and then TQ passes away, and that makes you a single dad now.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot. How are
Hey,
you how you doing it? Cause I'm a single mama and I ain't experienced nobody passing away on me. That's being a single parent is already a lot. And then the way in which you are a single father is just a little tragic. So how are you dealing with that?
well, I mean, I describe it, I'm all about analogies, metaphors. So I describe it, and I think I probably shared it before, is like, one of those like supermarket games, one of those games where you and your partner go through with the wheelbarrow and you pick up as many things in life as possible so you can be successful and do all and have all the things. And you start putting all these things into this heavy ass wheelbarrow, but it's not that heavy because it's two of you. So I got one side, she got one side, and all of a sudden my partner was disqualified. And now I'm standing there with this heavy ass barrel. And it gets heavier because the kids get bigger, the things get a little bit more. And
Yes.
but as a competitor and as a member of this life thing, people ask me, how do you do it? Like it's really not a choice. Like maybe it's just who I am innately. I There was no other option um to do it. And I'm domestic enough. I cook, I clean, so it wasn't like,
Amen.
oh, what's going to happen now? I mean, it's from an emotional side. I think
Right.
that's very challenging.
Yeah.
It's I have the memory of my late wife and my kids who were quite young when she passed, and I think that was one of the hardest things for her to do was to leave this place, knowing that she had to leave her babies, and then for me to know that I'm a man trying to raise two young boys and a young girl without, one of the most important people in their lives, a mother, who I've
Mhm.
always had. And I couldn't relate. I think it's difficult to this day because I can't relate to my kids in that. I have two mothers. So it's
Mhm.
like, that's a thing. So how do you do it is try to create a new normal. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's taken some time. I would
Yeah.
say honestly, since that happened in 2021, I've just recently started feeling more like myself.
Hmm.
And whatever myself is, that's a fake word too. It's like, what
You
is
trying to
that?
figure that out too.
Yeah, again, it's just like like every word is another thing. Like, oh, what is that? So yeah,
That's a
it's
lot to carry. I remember talking to you about community in our pre-interview because, like you said, the wheelbarrow is heavy, and I like what you added to the analogy. It's heavier because it's one person, but also the needs of your children are changing. They're getting older, so it's levels with parenting. So you're on different levels now. You're doing it alone, so that is a lot to carry. And so, in thinking about community, where are you at with that now? Because I know that you said you just now starting to feel like yourself. So I'm sure there's an isolation period that you went through. No.
yeah, it was. I didn't feel like it though. It's
Mm,
kind of like it's kind of like being in I won't say a resort, but it's kind of like locking myself in with those who were there at the
mm,
time as well. So that
mm.
kind of created a space of safety, familiarity, and I didn't have to really go out too much to find stuff. And that could be a positive or negative in that piece. That's when you kind
Yeah.
of find like trauma bonding and a lot of those type of phrases will come out of that. Um, but it's a good place, but you also need to walk away from that place too. It's like having like depression. Like it's okay to have sad thoughts, but I think about depression like those sad thoughts as being a very shallow pond, and it's okay to wade in the pond but then put your feet down and then walk back out. Like feel the feelings. Think about what it is. What are you supposed to learn from this? What are you supposed to feel from this? But then come out.
Yeah,
Um,
that's good. That's good.
and but you not everybody's able to do it because when you get in that place, it can seem so heavy. It can just be so heavy, and I just can't.
And
You know,
although it's very uncomfortable to be there, it's also comfort in it too. Because
right?
I can just,
It's like being in
just
the bed, like putting the covers over your head. Like I know I should, but man, this bed feels really good right now. And I don't really have to. But I think that also the kids have also helped me. So as much as it was a trial or like the work that's there, those are people who also got me up. And those are people who, they gave me purpose, gave me reason. They helped me rebuild a routine, even if it was janky. You know, it and they've been so resilient. Like, I'm so proud of my kids for how we've made it and how they've made it through that time,
Mm-hmm.
individually and as a collective. Of course, do I want more from them? Of course, because I'm a parent. I always want, I always want a little bit more. Like, but
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about that. So, in going back a little bit, and thank you for sharing all that you've shared. Going back a little bit, where you all got the diagnosis, and then there were different time frames. You got 6 months to live, which is so, oh my gosh, I can't imagine, right? Being told that. And then you being a partner of someone being told that. I'm sure she had her own feelings. I know you had your own set of feelings. And if and correct me if I'm wrong, but that time frame had changed a couple of times. Is that right?
yes, yes, it did. Um, she did chemo initially, and it did not go well with her body. She didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
We tried everything. We met with Dr. Sabi's family. From dandelion roots to trying to get, I think the last thing that we did was trying to get one of those plants from one of those Costa Rican places. I can't remember the name. I'm drawing a blank right now,
I
but
think she had told me she shot something else too. She was like,
with the
dang, ain't seen that
shaman
in
to go, like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, and it
Yeah.
was there. But honestly, I did not at any point until 2021. So she got diagnosed in 18, 19. I don't know, probably 2019.
Yeah, because I had my son. My son was part of the shoot with me, and he was born in 2019.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it wasn't until 21 January that it was real. So for me, I was always like, oh, we're going to make this. But
Yeah.
I never allowed myself, because I didn't want to feel like I was I didn't want to bring it down either, but I was hopeful. Like, I just like, oh, we're about to make it through this thing. We're going to wait for these numbers to come back, and we're going to see
Mm-hmm.
these numbers drop and do the
Mm-hmm.
things. It's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then it wasn't. I think it was, and I think we both kind of recognized it at that point. And it was probably one of the most humbling things, or just saddest moments, was just to know that I just felt like I was with someone who I knew I was going to make it, and she wasn't. And
Mm.
that itself was like I was watching it in real time, watch this thing happen. And now I'm gonna pause for a second, because I know many people who've
Mm.
lost somebody close to them,
Yeah.
just like that. They went to
Yep.
work, car accident.
Yep.
They went here, aneurysm.
Yep.
So I am extremely thankful for the time that I had. It
Mm.
could not have gone down the way that it did.
Mm.
And she could have really leaned into the why me's, and we talked about that. And there was a point where it was like, why not? And that's the hard, oh my God.
Mm.
When so many people around you are, things are going on. And I mean, I thought I was next. I thought this is going to happen, and then I'm going to fall after this. It's going to be my turn. I mean, when you kind of spend time with people, you're like, I'm doing the same thing you're doing. How is it you and not me? Like, do I take this thing? I mean, I think that survivor's remorse is real.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been around someone who was sick to that level that I was taking care of. I ended up leaving my position at school
Mm-hmm.
to be a caretaker for her during that time period, as well as, that's when the COVID time was happening. We did the little learning pod there with my kids and a couple other kids from the area.
Yeah.
But that allowed me to be home and be with her and have more time there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I wouldn't change that, because when they were like just being there, like from all the steps, to the last breath. And that was, those things they really sit with you differently. And
They
my
do.
appreciation and life outlook is 1,000% different since
Mm.
going through that. Like, I
Mm.
can't even relate to certain things like that. It's wild.
Mm.
It's wild, which is why, the food, how I think,
Yeah.
you know, um, what I eat, what I drink, what I experience. Try not to sweat the small stuff. Control the controllable. Being around the right people, that can embrace brace you, brace me for all the things that make us special,
Yep.
and not be so afraid to be weird.
Yep.
Because everybody's weird, but just find a weird that lines up with
Find your
you.
people.
Yeah, and not be so damn sensitive about it, and not
Mhm.
and I find myself being apologetic to those people I hang out with. So you talk to some of my friends and who are really a friend, and usually afterwards they'll be like, "Hey, I'm sorry if I said too much. I know I probably did too much. I'm sorry." I'm
I'd be
like,
like,
"Nah,
please,
it's
Adam,
okay."
please shut up. Like
And
you
I'm
is
like,
just be yourself.
and that's why I'm like, even that one thing I said, he'd be like, "Yeah, even that one thing, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, man, you gotta find your people. I reconnected with a friend. Thank you for sharing all of that again. I reconnected with a friend who I forgot how weird she was, but in a good way. Like it's my kind of weird. I'm like, yo, I've been missing this in my life because there are so many parts of ourselves that we have to mask or bring to put it in the back or bring it to the front, depending on where we are, who we're with, our professions.
right,
And to have people in your life, like you said, that just accept you and understand you, even if they're not like you, it just hits different. It really hits different. And there are so many different versions of weird. Find your people, find your tribe, and y'all weird out together. And it just made me appreciate our friendship. Cause I'm like, I forgot how funny and quirky and weird you are, and I love this shit. I've been missing this because there's so many people we have to put on that mask with. Maybe because there's
right."
not a lot of depth to that friendship or that person or whatever. So I get it, man. Hopefully you find more weirdos who rocking out like you in
Right.
2026.
That's always a goal, but then I can't have too many people because then I can feel overwhelmed too. So like,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
room
Because
gets
you're
too the room gets too big. Like, oh man,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you are an introvert. I noticed that when we met. You would come in the room, you wouldn't say too much, make sure TQ had all she needed, all her friends had all what they needed. But yeah, you definitely are an introvert. Um,
I'm trying to be balanced. I'm trying to be balanced.
it's nothing wrong with it. Do you, man? Do you? You mentioned your children, and I'm just thinking about like them going through their own grief and things like that. How have they been able to process losing their mom?
Mm, well, initially, they were in grief counseling, so they're able to have people to talk to throughout that process. Um, Having space for them to have conversations about it, bringing up certain things, talking through pictures, spending time with family, specifically like her family, to be able to get, her family and friends to be able to have, provide their own memories and personality attached to that about who their mom is, um, has been pretty important, for them. But again, I think that's again, the tough part is like they were very young. They were very young. She passed in 21. Rain was, what's the math on that? 21 and she's 8. So
So
we're in
add
6. Yeah, she was like,
5,
what, 2,
yeah.
3? Something like that, right?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, wow. So to have to find videos to, oh, this is what mom sounded like. Oh,
Mhm.
this is what she looks like again. Now I gotta, you see it, but you talk about it, but you know, again, it's a tough place because I remember those things, but it can be hard for me to bring it up sometimes too. But that doesn't stop me from having a discussion about it. You know, even like my son Blaze, and he's starting to like ladies right now. Excuse me, is it girls? Is it women? What is that? Like, you're in middle school. I don't even want to
They
say it.
better
He
be a
had,
lady.
yeah, that's
Period.
right. And I was like, hey, we don't want to do too much because I'm gonna tell you, your mama might, this is what she would say. She would have a preference about X, Y, or Z. To make sure we're talking about this. So I
Yeah.
we'll get some channeling and like this is what I feel like she would say, and this is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm gonna say, and this is what I feel like we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
So, on that note, because I'm a very spiritual person, I do feel like when people have left this plane, like they're still here in some aspect. I can't get too deep, and I can't tell you what's for sure, but I know what I believe. So, how have you, if you have at all, experienced her energy still, even though she's not here in the physical anymore?
I think there's a lot of opportunities. I think energy is never lost, right? I believe that communication can happen through dreams. It can happen through moments, and like I can feel certain energy when I go certain places. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I've had some dreams like this that, without going into much detail, said a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about it like this. So I'll give you an example. My late grandmother, because you don't know, you can't control how this stuff gonna happen. It just happens, right? I'm a dreamer too. And I remember wearing this pair of pajamas that belonged to my grandma. And I had dreams that night that felt so real. And she was in them. It was scary. I was younger. It just felt too real. And so I experienced her in that way.
Mhm.
And then you have family members that kind of just cross your mind sometimes, or you feel like you smell something, that brings back memories, or whatever. So I was just curious, had you experienced any of those things before?
Uh, I think it's interesting because us moving here, um, me moving back here, us moving here in 2018, and really solidifying ourselves in this neighborhood that we live in,
Yeah.
and her transitioning really happening in this neighborhood as well, kind of has a
Mm.
permanent connecting piece. So like the funeral home is around the corner. I walk my dog by it every day. You know what I mean? So it's like you don't really forget those things. I'm still in the same house. You
Mm.
know, I see her and the kids there all the time. Um, it's just part of. It's like it's just it's a thing, but it's not a thing. It's
Yeah.
more. I see it more like positive energy and not like it's
Sure.
just a good to have.
Yeah.
It's a
Absolutely.
positive memories.
From my perspective, she had a very positive aura in nature and just light and brightness about herself. So I know from my perspective, and I think a lot of people I know share the same sentiment. That's just a person you just don't forget, and it makes you know, like, whatever the spiritual side of things is, that it's real. Like, some people just have this thing about them and this light inside of them that comes from somewhere. And so she definitely was one of those people. So I gotta lift TQ up because she's somebody I would never forget. Even though I didn't know her extremely well or very long, that speaks to her energy and her spirit and her impact.
She definitely was one of those people that, which would be a positive and negative for some folks. 'Cause people feel like they met her a couple times, like, oh, we're best friends, and like, wait, who are you again?
Yeah.
She got a lot of
Exactly.
best friends. Like everybody could she just really loved people, and she had a. And you're right, it was very infectious, and she was definitely a definitely leader. She taught me a lot of things, and a lot of stuff that I would say I'm utilizing today. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
so that's why I joke like, if you could see me now.
I love it. I love it. And I'm sure you could correct me if I'm wrong. Some of the lessons and perspectives you have about life now because of her transition um, would probably make her proud, even though she's not here anymore. And it took for that to happen, for some of those things to come to light when they did. What do you think about that?
I talk about that all the time. When I was like, it's it's. I mean, it's the maturation. It's maturity. It's life.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a crash course on everything from experiences, karma, and the whole
Mm.
deal. Um, but I would trade all that growth to go back. You know what I mean? Like
Right, right, right.
it's like but it's like when people say, oh, I joke all the time. I would love to live in that apartment, but I got kids. But if I didn't have kids, I can't say I didn't have kids because I do have kids. So my reality versus
Right.
what could be. I keep that there, but I've learned. I've just had to go through so many fires and so many just trials and emotions. Life happened, business happened, friendships happened. A lot of things have taken place over these years since she's not been here, and you know, I feel positive about that, and try not to see it as a negative. Especially being I consider myself spiritual, so it's tough when you sit there and if you're a person who believes everything happens for a reason, because then you have to
Mm-hmm.
justify all the bad things that happen and
Mm-hmm.
hope that it's the rebound or that next step that's really the positive part of that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, that's good. Why you?
Well, I mean, what?
Well, you said that you had some conversations with TQ, and it may have the why me thing came up.
Hmm.
Is sitting in your current reality. Why you? Have you ever processed that?
Why am I still here?
Yeah. Why are you a single dad? Why did this happen? Have you ever thought about that?
Two questions. Why am I a single dad? Why did this happen? I don't have an answer for the why this happened. I think
Hmm.
that goes into that's more of a, to me, rhetorical kind of question of anybody can get it. And if you see, cancers, that it's so rampant out here.
Exactly.
Anytime people with the dialysis centers you see in like the areas around here, it's like this stuff is real
Yep.
and we don't know. But that goes to your point about foods and wellness and those pieces there.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it wasn't me, but I know that I'm here. Um,
Why you with all the weight of this responsibility? And I don't expect you to have an answer. I'm just,
but hey, I'm gonna
you
play
know,
it. I'm gonna do it. I mean, I'm versatile, but me saying that is not to say that my partner wasn't.
right,
But
of course.
it's like God wouldn't give you anything you couldn't handle, and it's like, well, I got good hands, so
Yeah.
like, well, I can, I'm mentally, I'm strong. I can take care of myself. I am a good father. I'm a good nurturer. I have good character. I'm a man with solid beliefs, um, and I believe in doing the right thing. So, I mean, I've always wanted to have kids as long as I can remember. So the idea of, man, I'm stuck with these kids. I mean, it might be a time where, man, I wish I had somebody to watch these kids. But that's
Yeah.
not, but I don't live that life. I'm more on
Right.
the side of, these are the kids and I'm going to be with the kids. Maybe I try to slide out real quick, but, but, but that's part of the thing. I don't have a lot of depressive moments about why I'm stuck with my kids.
Yeah.
Um, and if anything, I'm just really
And there
trying
was
to.
there was air quotes for anybody listening to this and not watching. He put
Okay,
air
good. I
quotes.
put four fingers, two on both sides. And did it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could answer the question. I mean, I care.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
That was good. I was just, it was just something that came in my head. And I was debating, should I ask that or not? But I think you played that well. It's just a question. I'm like, I wonder if he's ever thought that. Like, why me? You know what I'm saying? Because you have those people that, like you said it. People believe God may not put things on them that they can't bear. And sometimes people believe that's not true. And then sometimes people think that's the only truth to make sense of everything, and give it meaning. So
right.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you going there with me. I really do. I want to ask you about mental health. And so with all of this, you said in the beginning that you're still figuring it out. And maybe this year is the first year that you finally felt like yourself, whatever that means. How have you been taking care of yourself?
Depends on the day. Um, I think the biggest thing I was trying to do for myself is allow me to have grace for myself, which is just flexibility of, be able to feel. Some days be great days, some days may not be. And you know
Hmm.
what? Ideally, that's okay. I can still be hard on myself there, but my encouraging words to myself is it's okay. Exercise if I can, when I can.
You like to run? I've seen that.
Yeah, so like okay. So you might have seen me if I did that, that was, I think that's more of a try to see what I had, what I still
Yeah,
could
you was
do.
weak. You was weak. You was weak. I'm joking. You won't beat
Hey,
that time.
I tell you though, to go out there and run. So that means I think pushing yourself and to know where your limits are important. And you can backwards map that if you want to. Like I started here, now I need to work better for that. But I did want to try that out. You saw me out there
You
running.
used
And
to
I
run
did it.
track when you were younger?
I did, even when I was
Okay.
younger. Oh, that sounds so crazy to say.
Yeah, man. We get old. We get old.
Oh man, back in the early 2000s when I was
Yeah.
running,
Yeah, yeah,
type
yeah.
of thing. But yeah, just trying to remember, who you are, and that was one part of my personality. So trying to figure out and find who I am,
Mm-hmm.
and who I am a lot of times is wrapped into athletics. So
Hmm.
if it's trying to be, if I'm running or jogging or trying to play a pickleball or volleyball, like I'm just trying to be out and be in the sun, as much as possible.
Yep, that vitamin D and the moving your body is needed for
Right.
anybody, but definitely for you right now.
Just trying to find purpose, just new things there, beyond the kids. And that's what I'm saying. It's like moving beyond the kids to figure out, okay, what now? What do we need to
Yep.
do now? What
Yep.
can but it has to be leveled and weighted right with not only about my kids, myself, community, family, so
Yes.
so
Also, I think people should hear and know about that in between space. There is gray area in life, lots of it actually. And so not knowing is okay.
right, but it's tough.
It is tough.
It's
It's
tough.
very, very tough. But I want people to know that it's okay to be in that space. There's a lot that can happen in that space. It's very confusing in that space. But when you start to find your way on the other side, like you said, you're figuring it out. You don't know what that other side is going to be. You're still figuring it out, but you're putting one step in front of the other, maybe reluctantly some days, but you are pushing forward. And you're trying to figure out what that looks like. It's okay to be in this space because new things get birthed from it all the time. And I'm saying
Right.
that to myself too. Like it feels it's tough. Like you said, it's very difficult, but something is on the other side. I don't know what that is. It's like that not knowing as a human being can be very hard sometimes.
I had somebody ask me a question. It's like, do you know when you'd be ready? And I was like, no, but I look forward to the time when that is my thought.
Ready for what?
Like it's like a relation, like a marriage or something that's real
Oh,
big in that sense. Like, how you know? Like, I can't even speak to that, but
yeah.
excited to know, like, there
Right.
will be a time. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like when the rain is coming, I don't even know what it's going to feel like, but the sun will come out and be the thing, and you can be happy about that. So,
Yeah, yeah. Listen, I didn't even, won't even, couldn't even start even to think about that because it takes time. And I know where you are right now. Like you just figured it out. And whoever, whenever that person may be, it needs to be timely. And only God knows when that is.
right.
Because you have a very unique situation, and whoever feels that it enters into your life in that space, got to know some things and be some things.
Yeah,
So.
no pressure, right? It's no pressure, but being equally yoked and being on the same mindset and being able to, and I think that's also part of like mental health and
Mhm.
wellness. Again, so whether it's family, friends, or a partner, it's important that you have somebody who appreciates you for all the things that makes you who you are.
And mindset. I think what you and TQ shared, even though like at some point, we were like, I don't know, we starting to see some things, and your optimism wavered a little bit. It's natural. I think overall, y'all are positive people and have a positive mindset. And I swear, down to your friends, your business partners, whoever, mindset, you got to be equally yoked there. Because when times get hard, how you gonna act? You gonna pivot? Or you gonna stay depressed the whole time? Because I'm gonna go through a little bout of depression
Right,
if things
right,
get too crazy. So I'm not saying that you can't do that, but you're gonna cry and then get up at some point. Are we gonna get up at some point?
right.
So mindset being equally yoked in that is very, very important. I wish that for you when that time comes.
I appreciate it. And it's nothing. I'm not trying though.
Of course. I'm sure you're not. Oh man. Okay, so let's talk about the school real quick. You wanted to open up a school at some point. What's going on with that?
Well, honestly, it was work. We were working on that before Tunquise had passed,
Mm.
and that's when I just didn't really care anymore. I was like, I can't. Mine's out. I didn't bury it. That was the thing. Had thought about starting that engine again, but some challenges popped up. So I'm trying to figure out some other ways to get involved back in education in that sense. But the idea was really trying to move to practical education, so that learning was truly meaningful and it impacted. Like the questions were, instead of having a whole bunch of hypotheticals, it was to truly solve challenges in our community, whether it was, I don't know, Chesapeake Chesapeake Bay watershed, or you know something business related, but math would equal, like, by you learning this, you're actually going to use that on this side. And
Mm.
if we're going to do trajectory, we're going to shoot a rocket, like it's
Mhm.
just not a complete hypothetical. And blending in mindfulness and
Mm.
character education, and executive skills within the
Mm.
true curriculum, as opposed to making it an afterthought. As you go into a school, or and they're like, we're going to do mindfulness today, and we have this person coming in. We're going to all sit in a circle. We're going to breathe and do these things, but it's not built to see how that can impact. It just could be packaged better, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
the goal was trying to make just a really comprehensive, intentional educational system that
Yeah.
could be beneficial to kids. It's something I would want my kids to be a part of, like learning real history. You know, I people have gotten on me about that. I was like, do we really need to know the state bird? I mean, unless unless we need to eat it or something and trap it, you know. But I don't think that's the case. But
Yo,
I'm
so
just saying the idea of just be filling up with randomness and just really focusing on trades and what can we do and not being so just there's so many things like again plumbing, HVAC, metalwork, masonry, like those are those are real jobs that
mhm.
we should really be talking about a lot more, and we could
Yeah.
start working on that and getting those skill sets a lot earlier than when you graduate high school or
Yeah.
some other piece there. So that was that's the breath, that's the idea of what I was truly interested in really
Yeah.
trying to create.
Yeah. Well, if it ever slides across your plate again, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, or 50 years from now, I would love to see it come to fruition. But whatever God has for you in 2026 and beyond, I'm just looking forward to it and seeing you continue to thrive and come out on the other side. And I love your story because it's a becoming and you're figuring it out. And I tell people like this podcast is for it's not for perfect people. I don't you don't have to wait until you got over a thing because who knows when that's going to be
Right.
to come on the podcast. You share your story in it too, like this was tragic, this happened. I have some good days, I have some bad days. I'm figuring it out. That's the mindset. I'm figuring it out and I'm doing it in community. There's a time you have to do things in isolation, but you've come out of that shell, and to me that's a sign of life. It's, you know what I mean? A broken heart. I read this the other day. It was a note I wrote when I used to do speed dating events. I had a note that said a broken heart is also an open heart.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That down to
Write that down, baby. That was good, honey. I am so glad that you took me up on the offer to come and to share your story. I think there's a lot that people can glean and learn from and also be inspired by. And I think just people knowing that you exist in your story and knowing that TQ and her legacy and her light, people will stand in the gap for you and send you good energy and just good thoughts and prayers and support you, even if it's from afar. And I know that people going through similar things and even not just can learn from your story and be inspired and empowered by it. So I appreciate you. Thank you for being a thriver.
for sure. I'm happy to be here.
You guys, this has been another episode of Soul Seed Conversations, episode 52. You just met Adam Evans. It was a great episode. If you're watching a replay, put hashtag replay. If you made it to the end, put some sunshine emojis in the comments. Thank y'all for listening to his story. We will see you next month. This was the first episode of 2026, but episode 52 will happen next month. Shout out to the Soul Tribe family. Remember to mind your mind, shine your light. Thank you, Adam. Y'all have a great day. Peace.